Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be taking a look at a very misleading, inaccurate, honestly terrible article that was put out by VG247. And to my knowledge, they're a pretty reputable source when it comes to gaming news. But this article that they published has so much wrong with it, and we're going to dive into it right now. So the title of the article was 343 Industries Removes Police Sirens Nameplate from Halo 3 ODST. Alt-right fans react poorly. So right off the bat, in the title, wow, what an assumption that is. What an unsubstantiated claim that is. Alt-right fans. They're calling us alt-right fans if we were against the removal of that nameplate. Now, for those of you who are not caught up, I have 2 videos on my channel about this. They were 2 of the last 3 videos I uploaded. And basically, in the Halo 3 ODST flight, there was a nameplate in the game which resembled cop car lights, red and blue cop lights, right? Well, Moses FPS, he put out a tweet saying, "Yo, why did they add a cop nameplate? 343 must not watch the news." And he included a picture of that cop nameplate in the game. And then Sketch replied to that saying, well, that's obviously a nod to the New Mombasa police in ODST. But yeah, agree it's a sensitive direction in the current climate, so we are going to address it. And then he went on to say, it's got nothing to do with supporting or not supporting the fictional police of New Mombasa. The fact that it is polarizing is why it'll be addressed. These comments are why it's a game. Now, I already discussed this and gave my take on the situation in my other 2 videos, so I will link them in the description. But basically, I'm against this. I think it is so foolish. It is absurd to remove this nameplate from the game. There are cops in ODST. There are cop cars in ODST. There's a little side story in the audio logs scattered around the city that has to do with a corrupt cop. It makes sense why there would be a nameplate resembling cop car lights in the game. It wasn't a big deal. Nobody was complaining about it that I seen. I didn't see anyone calling for the removal of it. Even Moses' tweet here was not calling for the removal of the nameplate. He was basically just acknowledging that it was included in the game. But that is the tweet everyone saw Sketch reply to, and Sketch said it will be addressed, and now we know addressing it meant removing it. And real quick before we get in the article, I want to go over what Sketch said the other day, replying to Gamer J Lee. Gamer J Lee, he also made videos about this, and he was also against the removal of this nameplate. So Sketch said, "Hey J Lee, this isn't about one person's viewpoint. Just happened to respond to that post atop my feed, but there's plenty of feedback, including from our own team." Okay, there's plenty of feedback, including from our own team. So why wasn't this discussed before you rolled the flight out? Obviously, there were people on the team that did not want this nameplate in the game. Obviously, there was some kind of miscommunication going on there because it made its way into the flight. It should have never been there if you didn't want it. And then once it was there, you guys removed it when no one was even calling for the removal of it. So you made 2 mistakes back to back. You played yourself. And then Sketch went on to say, well, I said it was being addressed. It was. It's also work in progress flight content. All of it is subject to change. We balance feedback with our own internal team input and make decisions. Not everyone will agree. With all due respect, it's behind us now. No. You want it to be behind us now, but it's not. No. I will never shut up on this. It is not behind us. The only people who ever say it's behind us now are people that agree with the situation, with the decision that was made. All of us that disagree with it, no, it's not behind us. Yes, I agree, it's just a nameplate, and this isn't about the nameplate itself. I mean, that I could care less about that fucking nameplate. It's the principle of why you removed that. You removed it from the game when nobody was calling for the removal of it. And hell, I'll take it a step further. Even if there were no police in Halo 3 ODST, and that nameplate was put into the game to show support for law enforcement, I still don't have a problem with that. There's still nothing wrong with that. and you said it could be polarizing, right? You said, oh, we're removing it because it could be or we're addressing it because it could be polarizing. Well, there's other nameplates in the game that could be seen as polarizing. 343 has a BLM nameplate in the game, and maybe I shouldn't call it a BLM nameplate because I don't think it's an official BLM nameplate, but it does have the black fist, which is synonymous with BLM. But you can find plenty of footage of BLM supporters committing criminal acts. Theft, vandalism, assault, arson. So that plate could definitely be seen as polarizing as well. And that stays in the game, but you remove the cop nameplate. And let's also shed some light on the fact that by removing that nameplate, you have created way more polarization. Nobody would have cared if you just kept it in the game. It wouldn't have been a big deal. And yeah, Moses put his tweet out, but he was basically just acknowledging that it was in the game, okay? I didn't see anyone calling for the removal of it. If you would have just kept that in the game, it really wouldn't have been a big deal at all. Even people that hate law enforcement probably wouldn't have cared because they can see that there are cops in the game, there are cop cars scattered around the city. They would have understood why there was a cop nameplate, cop light nameplate in the game. It would have made sense. So it is so hypocritical to say you were going to address it because it could be polarizing. That is BS. Okay, so now I think it's time we take a look at this article from VG247. This article is by Cyan Mar. I don't know how to say the name. I'm sorry, but that's who it's by. Sunday, August 23rd. So the article reads, it was recently discovered that 343 Industries removed a nameplate depicting police sirens from the flight version of Halo 3 ODST, and alt-right fans are threatening to boycott the series. Okay, I haven't seen anything that would suggest people that were against the removal of this nameplate are alt-right. I haven't seen it. And if you're a writer and you make a serious claim like that, you should substantiate it. You should back it up. Let's show examples of this. Give me links. And speaking of links, there is a link in this. The article goes on to say the news comes from Reset Era, where a poster compiled a string of tweets from alt-right Halo players. So there we go. That's who the alt-right Halo players is. That's who the alt-right players are that he's referring to, are the ones linked in the Reset Era forum. But we'll take a look at that in a second. A poster compiled a string of tweets from alt-right Halo players who reacted to the revelation in an incredibly poor fashion. Obviously, the plate was removed from the game due to the atrocious degree of police brutality that erupted in the US earlier this year. An ostensibly sensible decision, but one that has caused a stir among the exact people who would likely use it to harass others. Harassing others with a nameplate. Oh shit. How the fuck am I gonna harass someone with a fucking nameplate? It's a red and blue lights. There's red and blue. There's cop cars in the campaign. Is that harassment? What the fuck? Oh my god, this is terrible journalism. This dude should be fired immediately. VG247. This is embarrassing. This is so unprofessional that you would publish an article like this. Are you fucking kidding me? Would harass others. I don't get that. How am I harassing someone with a nameplate? You know how you can harass somebody in MCC? Through the text chat that people can't turn off because 343 hasn't given us the option to turn off, and they don't have words like the N-word banned in the text chat. They let people say whatever the fuck they want. That's how you can harass somebody. Maybe 343 should focus on that. Putting a filter on the text chat, giving us an option to turn it the fuck off. Maybe they should do that. But no, let's remove this nameplate. This is a fucking top priority. God damn it, I was doing pretty good. I was trying not to say fuck in this video, but there we go. I just said it like 4 times in 15 seconds. Fuck. A user by the name of Moses FPS brought up an issue regarding one of the nameplates. An issue. A non-issue? A user by the name of Moses FPS brought up an issue regarding one of the nameplates in the current Flight for ODST Firefight and Halo 3 hit registration fixes. And one of them are police sirens. Ooh, spooky. Reads the post. Okay, and this is what the poster on Reset Era said. So he said that, and he also goes on to say, in the ODST campaign, there is not only police vehicles stranded throughout the game, but also a secondary story regarding the corrupt New Mombasa Police Department that connects to the main story. So the nameplate wasn't really out of place. It continues. But at the same time, with the current political climate, 343 Industries decided to remove it from the flight and possibly the final release. The current political climate. Yeah, no. Sketch said it's going to be addressed because it could be polarizing. There is plenty of other shit in the game that could be seen as polarizing. And this wasn't one of them. This is something that wasn't an issue nobody would have talked about. Maybe you would have had a few people mention it here and there like Moses did, but it wouldn't have been a big deal. And if you really want to point the finger at police brutality for being the reason this nameplate shouldn't be in the game, well, I can point the finger at BLM and all the chaos, destruction, assault that they have caused, and I could say that's why this nameplate that is synonymous with BLM shouldn't be in the game. There's a double standard here, and it's obvious and it's disgusting. And honestly, the cop nameplate has more of a place in Halo than the BLM nameplate does, because there are cops and cop cars in the game. But then the article goes on to say, I'm not going to post the tweets here. He's talking about the tweets that were linked in the Reset Era forum, because they are horrible for a variety of different reasons. I would love to know why he thinks they're horrible. However, most fans understand that the nameplate was removed precisely because the people vocally attacking the decision would likely use it in an offensive and improper ways. Holy shit. Who is this guy that wrote this? Are you kidding me? Does he even understand what a nameplate is? Because the people, they would use it in offensive and improper ways. It is a fucking nameplate. It goes behind my gamer tag. How can I possibly use that in an improper way? Someone please explain. I'm trying to keep my cool, but how can I when I read something like that? It is so nonsensical. And they fucking published this story. Unbelievable. And finally, the article goes on to say, there is no need for a pointless cosmetic to remain in a game when it can be weaponized by abusive players in online matches. I guess, honestly, he probably doesn't know what the nameplate is. I guess he doesn't know what it is. He must not know what the nameplate actually is. It can be weaponized by abusive players in online matches. Well, first off, when you're in the online match, you can't even see people's nameplate. Well, unless you press start. I think you can do it if you press start and then bring up the roster, but that's not the point. How are you weaponizing a nameplate? You know, here's another thing. In the campaign, you get shot at by police. Well, if you betray your allies, by accident or intentionally, you can get shot at by a police officer. If you get all the audio logs in the game, you will be shot at by a police officer. So, isn't that polarizing? Shouldn't that be removed? I mean, is that appropriate in the current climate? Police officer shooting at me in a game? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to remove a nameplate, red and blue lights, but then you have the red and blue lights on the cop cars in the campaign, and you have police shooting at you. You know, that seems like something that would be considered more severe when it comes to the presence of police in the game than the fucking nameplate. And real quick, I want to show you a tweet I put out a couple days ago where I was shedding some light on the fact that you can be shot by police officers in Halo 3 ODST. So I said, Dear 343, many people play video games to escape the harsh realities of the world, and I think it would be downright insensitive and disgusting not to address the fact that players can be killed by police officers in Halo 3 ODST, and I tagged Sketch, Postums, Unishek, and Snickerdoodle. And they're all 343 employees. This tweet got quite a bit of traction, and I got no response from them. I got no response. So Moses just puts out a tweet, not even really. You could argue that he wasn't complaining. He definitely wasn't calling for the removal of it in that tweet. And Sketch was pretty quick to respond to that tweet. Sketch being 343's community director. He was pretty quick to respond to Moses. But I put out this tweet showing a police officer shooting and killing me. And I get no response. Now, yeah, they could have assumed my tweet was satire, but that is nothing more than an ignorant assumption. So, you can see the double standard here. There's definitely a bias with 343. And I just love how in this response to Jay Lee, Sketch says, just so happened to respond to that post atop my feed. So he makes it sound like, oh, that just so happens to be the post that I seen when I hopped on Twitter that day and I just responded to that. Okay, yeah, sure. So you just so happened to see that post. The one person who was, I guess, if you want to call it complaining about the nameplate, and you just so happen to not see all the other people voicing their opinions on Twitter as to why that nameplate should stay. You just so happen not to see any of that. You just so happen not to see my tweet voicing my concerns with being shot by a police officer in game. I tagged you. You were active on Twitter at the time I put that tweet out. Guess you just so happened not to see that. But finally, like a day or two later, you responded to Gamer Jay Lee about this. You finally responded. Okay. Took you long enough. I believe Sketch did see tons of people voicing concerns with them removing that nameplate from the game. He's the community director. He was on Twitter the last couple days. I'm sure he's seen it, but he ignored it. Double standard. And also in his reply to Jay Lee, I love how he says, it's also work in progress flight content. All of it's subject to change. A nameplate is not something that should be subject to change during flight content. It's a nameplate. It's like you either want it in the game or you don't. You made the decision to put it in. There wasn't a good reason to take it out. And just to finish off this VG247 article, it says, again, most people understand this and thankfully are in unanimous agreement that the babies on the other side of the debate are essentially just shouting into the void and showing their whole arse. The Halo 3 ODST testing servers are open this week. The full game is expected to ship later this year, and that's the end of the article. Would you look at that? The top comment on this article is, imagine living in a world where police stuff is demonized and sane people upset about it are labeled alt-right. Idiotic. Yeah, imagine that. And that comment has 55 likes, 55 upvotes. Yeah, but I find it really funny how at the end of this article they call people who aren't in agreement with the removal of the nameplate babies. They call us babies. When if anything, it's the opposite. We're the ones who didn't see a problem with it being in the game. We were fine. It's the principle as to why they removed it that we don't like. So now let's take a quick look at the Reset Era forum that was linked in the VG247 article. The title of this thread is 343i removes police sirens nameplate from ODST flight. Some fans with expected views whine and threaten to boycott. And all right, what he said in this forum post, I already read that because it was said in the VG247 article. But yeah, as you can see here, he links a tweet from Helljumper. Where Helljumper said real world politics shouldn't matter in a video game. If you think they do and use phrases like it's not the right time, then yes, you are a snowflake. The NMPD nameplate ain't even tied to our real world. There are police literally in the game, but a BLM nameplate, all good. Okay, what was wrong with that post? Can we please elaborate? What was wrong with that? Did you expect people just to read his tweet and be like, oh man, how dare he? Yeah, I'm not seeing much of a problem with it. Okay, and then he links Dax's tweet here, and he says this is probably the biggest threat on this subject. And Dax's tweet said, putting the word out, 343 Industries decided to remove this nameplate because it could be polarizing. However, they will gladly leave up a nameplate that's synonymous with BLM. Don't support Halo, and 343, they don't support you. And he linked the picture of Moses' tweet, sketch reply, and he showed the BLM nameplate and that the cop nameplate was removed. Now remember, the writer for the article published by VG247 said that this forum poster compiled a string of tweets from alt-right Halo players. I'm not seeing what's alt-right about this. And then this forum poster goes on to say, in addition, other Halo YouTubers and Empress Cortana have also jumped onto this alt-right boycott. I don't understand where they're getting alt-right. Either way, going by the reactions, I think 343 Industries made the right call. The nameplate would have went well with my gamer tag, but seeing these kinds of reactions, I think I agree that these types of players would use this nameplate to harass others. I don't understand that. How am I harassing you with a nameplate? If somebody's getting offended by seeing red and blue lights, then they have a serious problem that they need to work out on their own. Maybe they shouldn't be playing video games. Maybe they shouldn't be on the internet. Maybe they should just lock themselves in a room and never fucking leave if you're getting offended by red and blue lights. And sure, they were cop lights, but still, even then. And shit, there's a ton of red and blue within Halo. I mean, most of the multiplayer is red versus blue. The scoreboard is red versus blue. This is so absurd, so nonsensical. Then this guy goes on to say in this forum post, this Halo YouTuber is saying 343i overreacted. Meanwhile, he made a rant vid complaining about Halo 3 being released early on PC. And he links a video I put on Twitter titled Dear 343, where I discuss the removal of this nameplate and why I disagree with it. And I love how he references my video talking about Halo 3 releasing early on PC. Yeah, see, in that video, I was able to actually back up my points and provide a valid argument as to why some people wouldn't be happy with the early release. And in this forum post, I'm not seeing how you can substantiate and back up your claims that we are alt-right Halo players. I'm not seeing that at all. And the video he has linked to me here, I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out. It's a 1:37 video. I don't think I said too much in that clip that I hadn't already said in my other two videos that I have here on my channel. But yeah, there's nothing in that video that would suggest that I'm alt-right. So yeah, he linked tweets of Helljumper, Dax, and myself in this forum post. Where the fuck is Jay Lee and Rony Boney's alt-right ass? Get them in here. Nah, I'm just fucking around. They ain't alt-right at all. So yeah, that's pretty much it. What a terrible forum post. And the fact that VG247 picked this up and published that article is extremely embarrassing and unprofessional. And if I was a higher up at VG247, I would fire that writer immediately. I mean, all you had to do was read the article, and you can see so much that is wrong with it. And the fact that he implicates certain members of the Halo community as being alt-right and doesn't substantiate that is very unprofessional. I mean, Dax. They have Dax in here. Let me read you a tweet that Dax put out. It said, hey, VG247, why not do some checking and heck, maybe even ask me for a comment? I'm a 90s liberal. Glad you clarified that, because there's a difference. I'm a 90s liberal, woman, Native American, and a lesbian. I'm the furthest from alt-right as they come. Voted for Hillary, folks. I support keeping both nameplates. Doesn't make me alt-right. So, I don't think these traits are something you would associate with alt-right, but whatever. They're calling Dax alt-right. Obviously, they have no idea what they're talking about. These alt-right claims are nothing more than ignorant, unsubstantiated, inaccurate claims. That's what it is. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. VG247, I will never use you guys again for gaming news. Not after an article like this. I think the writer, I would fire his ass immediately. This is some of the worst journalism I've ever seen. I mean that. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Just wanted to shed some light on that terrible, misleading article. Feel free to have a discussion in the comments. I'll be reading them all. I always read them all. I don't respond to them all, but I do read all the comments. And before I forget, I wanted to mention that when ODST Firefight does release on PC, I will be doing a 24-hour game of ODST Firefight, and I will be live streaming that on my Twitch. I'll link my Twitch in the description. To explain the rules real quick, it's going to be a single game, 24 hours. It's on Legendary. Right now, I know it's going to be me and one other person. It might be more. If we run out of lives and we lose, I will restart the 24 hours, but the longest I will go is 48 hours. That's where I'm capping it at 48 hours. And I said I'm going to do it when ODST Firefight releases, but I'll probably have to do it that following weekend. If it releases during the week, like a Tuesday, I'll probably have to wait till Saturday to do it, but I'll keep you guys posted. So that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Peace out, everybody. God, what a fucking awful article. That was some dog shit journalism. I cannot believe what I just fucking read. Fuck.